Hello, I'm Wendy Bell, Deputy Director for the Office of Community Development at the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. I'm here today to go over Section 1 and Section 2 of the Community Development Block Grant Guidebook. Our Community Development Block Grants Guidebook is set up to cover objectives and general applicant information in Section 1 and program information and policies in Section 2. Individual programs are covered in subsequent sections. These sections cover funding availability, who can apply, requirements and disclaimers, state and federal compliance areas, citizen participation, activity delivery costs, and initial grantee responsibility. I'll be highlighting the key elements of Section 1 and 2 in this presentation. It is important to remember that all information and requirements contained in Section 1 and Section 2 are applicable to all program grant applications. Our annual allocation from HUD increased slightly in 2021. Funding availability for the public infrastructure component is $18 million for program year 2021. Applications are competitive and will be funded based on scored value. Applications are due at our Springfield office no later than Tuesday, August 3rd at 5:00 p.m. The minimum grant award for public infrastructure and housing rehabilitation is $250,000. Applications submitted for less than $250,000 will not be accepted. Only units of general local government, specifically cities, villages, townships, and counties, may apply for funding. Municipalities must not be a HUD direct entitlement community or be located in an urban county that receives entitlement funds. Units of local government may apply for one grant per competitive program per year. Applicants that received a grant in the previous year must demonstrate reasonable progress by the time the application is reviewed, or it will not be considered. The level of progress is also considered in the project readiness portion of the scoring matrix. All original application forms and materials as shown in the guidebook must be utilized. The department will designate an application do not fund and not complete the rest of its scoring for the following reasons: using self-created forms, adding to or removing any language in the forms, forged, copied, taped, pasted, or any alterations to original signatures or dates. All letters, notices, resolutions, agreements, or other communication provided by the unit of local government as part of the application must be of the exact verbiage contained in the guidebook, be on the applicant community's official letterhead, and have original signatures where required. All application forms and certifications requiring signatures must be signed by the chief elected official of the applicant community unless otherwise noted. Costs previously incurred, such as design, as well as costs incurred in preparation of applications and local income surveys, are not reimbursable under this grant application. A grant agreement will be issued for a contract period of 24 months for public infrastructure, housing rehabilitation, and economic development grants. All projects must be operational at the end of the 24-month grant term. No more than one 12-month extension may be considered. Requests for modifications must be presented to the department prior to any changes being made to the project area, beneficiaries, cost estimates, or funded activities. All modifications must be within the original and environmentally cleared project area. Requests for activities outside the original project area will not be considered. In addition, if the proposed modification alters the LMI benefit, the percentage of benefit must be within the same LMI scoring received in the review of the application. Modifications that will decrease the benefit to low to moderate income persons will not be considered. Modifications to decrease or increase the scope of work due to greater than or less than estimated costs will not be considered. Local governments may not assess any fees against property occupied by eligible low to moderate income persons. The most common type of assessment is a connection fee, which is a one-time charge made as a condition of access to an improvement. No environmental review activities can take place until the applicant has received the Notice of State Award finalist. Once this notice is received, the grantee will initiate the required early warning contact in accordance with federal NEPA requirements and state law. Additionally, do not contact HUD program staff for questions on or approval of environmentals. It is the state's responsibility to administer the environmental process for our grantees. Each applicant must agree to comply with all applicable federal and state requirements. This includes 2 CFR 200, 24 CFR 570, Part 85, and the Grantee Accountability and Transparency Act, or GATA. These can have a significant impact on the cost and complexity of a project. Applicants who receive a grant award will be expected to submit signed assurances that they will comply with all federal mandates. A public hearing must be held prior to submission of an application and prior to passage of a local council resolution of support by the local governing body. The step-by-step process is spelled out in the guidebook, Section 2C. All project information must be available for viewing on the first date of publication at an easily accessible location within the community. A notice of public hearing must be published at least once in a newspaper of general circulation at least 7 calendar days, excluding the date of publication and the date of the hearing prior to the public hearing. All applicants must provide for public participation. All citizens must be given reasonable access to the community's application and reasonable time to review the application and comment prior to the public hearing. Public comments must also be taken at the hearing. As the citizen participation process is a federal requirement, if it is not followed to the letter, the application will be considered a DNF, or do not fund, and not reviewed further. And now it's time for questions that may have been submitted in the chat box.